July 31st, 1987, Edmonton Tornado. I was living at a house in Millwoods and with my kids and my second wife. And my memories start the day before, the Thursday night before the Friday. We looked out the back window. This was after supper. We looked out the back window and we saw the strangest clouds that I have ever seen. Now, there was two types of clouds. I call them egg crate, where the entire sky was covered with what looked like the bottom of an egg crate, like a cardboard egg crate. All these little bulges, very, very regular shaped, all across the sky. And I thought that was really weird. Then the next form of clouds I saw was on the sound barrier. It's just a big dirt berm behind the house. And these clouds were very different as well. They were a long horizontal bank of clouds, and they were rolling like this, and it looked like it had green fingers of cloud slowly rotating like this. Again, really, really strange. I've never seen anything like it. So we just, didn't give it much more thought. And that might have also been, there's another story in that. Sorry, I just was thinking of another story that wraps into that. Anyway, on the Friday, it started raining really heavy. Now, I was home, I was looking out the window, and it was raining really heavy, and heavier and heavier, and then it started to hail. Now, the kids were home, Wendy was working, my second wife, and she was still at the bank working. I think I might have been unemployed at the time. So I was home after school with the kids, and it started to hail, and the hailstones were getting bigger and fewer and bigger and fewer, and pretty soon they're the size of crab apples. And I'm getting worried about my car, and I had a 1977 Chev Camaro. It was a really beautiful car, baby blue with a white interior, and I also had a gold one with a gold interior. I think it was the blue one that was in danger, getting all smashed up. In fact, no, it couldn't have been. It could not have been. It was the gold one. Must have been the gold one. Or the gray one. I had a gray one. I had a 78 gray Camaro. Must have been the gray one. Okay, so I had three Camaros all told. Not all at the same time. I had two at the same time. And then I sold one, bought another one. Anyway, so I had this gray one, gray Camaro, and it was parked facing south, and the hail was coming in from the north. So my back window, which apparently is more expensive to replace than a front windscreen, was in danger of getting hit. So with quick thinking, I grabbed a red toboggan, which was just one single sheet of plastic stamped or injection molded or whatever, and I ran to the car. Mike was home, my son Mike, and I grabbed Mike. I said, Mike, come and help me hold this. So he and I went out there, and if you look at the back of a 1978 Camaro, it's very smooth. Like, it's on a sharp angle, and it's very smooth, and when it's wet, it's even slippery, very slippery. Now, he and I got up onto the car, we're holding it, and then I realized that our heads were exposed. I said, Mike, put your head underneath the toboggan. Well, the hail was coming in the size now of pears. And I think there's a species called Ant Jew pears or something. It's like this, okay? 4-inch, 4.5-inch, and then it was odd shaped. And I know that because I found one afterwards. I wasn't watching hail coming at me. So these were like little baseballs made out of ice. They were coming at a really low angle, and you could hear them. Like the rain would stop for a bit, and then the hail would come, and you'd hear this all over the road, the sidewalk. And Mike was getting hit. I said, Mike, put your head underneath the toboggan to protect your head. So he puts his head in, and then he decided to bail, but it was so loud I couldn't hear. But he abandoned his post and ran into the house. And you know, I couldn't really judge for him if he was getting hit really bad. He wanted to leave. I don't know how old he was, 10 or 11, I don't know. And so I was by myself then. So then what I had to do is, I myself was getting beat by these hailstones. So what I did was I myself climbed up the center of the back of the car, and I reoriented the toboggan so it was protecting me and my body, and I had to forget about the window. So I could cover about the middle half of the window, and there was a quarter on each side that wasn't protected. And I could hear this bam, 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 bam. The toboggan was protecting me. It was absorbing the energy and bouncing them off. So then it started to rain, and the rain, I'm going to have a hard time describing it. Okay, it's like in a warm shower in your own tub, your own shower at home. Warm, I'm talking like heated water coming out of a water heater in your house. It was absolutely warm. It was actually warming me up, being in that rain. And it was heavier and heavier and heavier, and I'm still underneath the toboggan, and it was coming down in sheets like the heaviest rain I have ever seen in my life. And then I was just peeking out between the toboggan and the car, and the surface of the rain started to ripple. Now, if you've ever seen that movie Predator, where it kind of ripples, you don't see him, he's invisible, the monster's invisible, but you see the rippling, he kind of refracts light a little bit. That's what I saw. And so I had this rippling rain going on here and rippling rain going on there, and right at the very closest to me, which now I put out my arm, and that would easily be to the outside edge of the car. Give it another foot, okay, so that's about 1, 2.5, so 3.5 feet, about that. Through the rain and the rippling on both sides, I saw Edmonton City Police. It was a police car that was covered in rain, that's what it was reflecting, and I couldn't see the car. I couldn't see the car that was 3.5 feet away except for the door, and as the door moved through that little window of visibility, I could see just the tail of it go, and then it's gone. So these guys were doing about 1 or 2 miles an hour. Very, very, very slow. So I was kind of changing position. So as not to slip off, I had to open the, this is a little bit earlier, I had opened the gas cap filler door, which is on a Camaro of that year, is in a kind of like just above the license plate. So in that little door, I put my heel, and I could hold myself from slipping off the car from all the slippery rain. That worked out. So I'm kind of changing position. Then I had to roll over, and I saw the rain let up a little bit. The rain let up a little bit, and so I was able to quickly switch over sides. Now I was able to see the house, and the hail was coming again. So I saw the 3 kids on the front steps screaming, like I couldn't hear them. I couldn't hear them because of the rain and the hail. And they're waving their arms like this. And I'm thinking, what the heck? So I decided, well, I'm just going to give up. I don't know what they want. So I ran from the car. I abandoned my post, and I ran up to the front steps, and the kids told me, Dad, it's a tornado. It's on TV. We have to get downstairs. It's an emergency alert. So I went in, I saw it on the TV. I spent like 3 seconds watching what they were saying, and sure enough, they were telling the truth. I said, okay, all four of us, we had to get down to the basement and hide out. So we did. By the time Wendy got out of the bank, it had passed sun. The rain was drying up. She drove home and was wondering why we were hiding down in the basement. We had insurance adjusters come out to look at our roof because the next day when we went out to our yard, we had a ring of red around the house, and that was all the little red flakes that had come off of the roof tiles, roof shingles. We had insurance people come out, and they're looking at the damage. They say, yeah, we're covering all the roofs in this area. And we were walking around, and I said, yeah, there's a hole in the lawn from the hailstone. And I actually had a couple of hailstones in the fridge, which I kept and measured. That's how come I know they were 4.5 by about 2.5. And I showed her a hole, and it was like about that round, and it was about that deep. It's coming in like a bullet. And she was astonished. Like, there was two of them, a man and woman. The lady said, that is astonishing, how deep that is. Of course, on the news, we didn't know that people had been killed and that a gigantic oil tanks, a bunch of them were ripped up and rolled down the highway, and there were people that survived by staying in the company washroom when the whole warehouse building got blown away. So we found out that later, and then of course more news came in about all the devastation and the people lost. So that was my memory of the Edmonton Tornado, 1987, July 31st.